Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're going to stay on the Atlantic Ocean after Atlantic Chase last week with the 7th game on my Tac Up Wargaming list. Last week's game was to commemorate the launch of Operation Rhine and the first sojourn of battleship Bismarck into the Atlantic Ocean. This week we're commemorating the sinking as we play Bismarck Solitaire from Worthington Games. Like when we featured On to Moscow earlier this year, this one is another book game, but this time we have control of the Bismarck, the Prinz Eugen, and a U-boat along for support. Our targets this time are the ships in the Bismarck story, especially HMS Hood. Anyway, let's move over to the main game area and set up. So here's the board that we're looking at. For setup, we mark the locations of the Bismarck, Prinz Eugen, and the U-boat. The Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen start in any movement square in row A between columns 5 and 8. So the Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen are both going to start somewhere in this region. We'll start the Bismarck here. This angle is going to be very weird. And the Prinz Eugen we're going to start over here in left A7. Actually, yeah, top left A7. Then the U-boat goes anywhere in columns 1 to 4. So anywhere in here. We'll put the U-boat down here. So similar to how we had On to Moscow, we'll tip the camera up and we'll see that we've got our events up here. I won't go through every single event right now. I'll go through them once they become relevant, but we'll be rolling 2 main dice. I'll use these 2 dice for the event rolls. We'll use white for the left side of each event, and then the red die for essentially the black side of the event. So, with that, one of the problems that we had with On to Moscow, I think, was that it was probably a little bit hard to see when I was using pencil. And I'm kind of zoomed in here as far as I want to go to be able to capture the whole board. So we're going to use pen this time, hopefully make everything pop. Make everything a little bit better to see. But we've got the Bismarck here, as I mentioned, the Prinz Eugen up here, and then the U-boat is up here. So we are all set to get into this game, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Before we actually jump in, I'll bring the events up. Actually, I may have to zoom out so you can see all of the events. I'll have to get them in. Actually, let me see. If I zoom out even a little further. There are the events. Basically, whatever we roll is what'll happen, and depending on where a force might be at, we'll have that. Where one of our ships might be at, we'll have that part of the event happen. So, let's actually zoom back in on that. Your other end, Phoenix Knight. We'll tip that down. We'll move that slightly. We'll bring the dice tower there. And then we'll roll for our first event. So we're rolling, once again, 2d6. Let's see. So 4 brings us here, and then 2. So we're looking at the convoy hunt, and the only ship that we've got in range, the only thing we've got in range here is the U-boat, looking at F4. So the U-boat will actually get to attack either the repulse or the convoy. Let me double check how that works, because that's the event that we have. Event chart. Okay, we didn't have any air attacks to worry about, so we don't worry about that. Resolve any U-boat attacks. British ships can't attack U-boats. has a choice to evade or attack. So we will... So we're targeting the repulse. I think we'll actually attack the convoy. So the U-boat will evade the British, the Renown. Right, the Renown? Yes. So we will attack the convoy. We roll a single d6 for that. I'll roll the white die for that. On a 1 to 4, we'll hit the... On a 1 to 4, on a 1 to 3, we'll hit the convoy. On a 4 to 6, we hit the U-boat. That's a 5, so we hit the U-boat, which only has... I'll zoom out. Actually, we'll tip the camera down. And we'll see the health of each ship along with the extra fuel there. So the U-boat only rolls 1 die. We hit it once, which is a bit of a problem for us. That's the number of victory points we lose. Then we've got extra fuel for each of them. So the speed of the ship is actually in the hidden... It's actually in the darker section. Actually, that's what we can spend extra fuel to get to. So, after we had the U-boat attack, we rolled the 1 damage for that. The Bismarck will bring down to... I believe it's 1... Okay, so it actually moves... Wait, I'm a little confused on how this works, so let me just double check this. Speed for... Okay, never mind, so that actually is the top speed. So Bismarck would move 2. Prince Eugen could move up to 3 without using fuel. And it's only orthogonal movement. So we'll bring the U-boat... The U-boat here. This is a very weird angle for me to write at, so I'm actually going to tip the camera just slightly. We'll bring the Bismarck 2, and the Prinz Eugen will move 3 down to B7. That is turn 1. So now we'll tip back up to the event chart for turn 2. Not a good start to the turn. Let's see what we can do with the ships this round. Let's see, 4 and 3 brings us right back, but this time E4. We're still after the repulse and the convoy. The Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen can't do anything, being in A5 and C7 respectively. So our U-boat will attack once again. Tip down here so you can see... Actually, we'll bring the event up so you can see what we're looking at. We're looking at convoy hunt once again. So the U-boat will attack the convoy again. We're trying to disrupt the British shipping here, by the way. Wow, you've got to be kidding me. We're getting the U-boat hit again here. That is problematic. The U-boat can't shoot straight, apparently. So we'll bring the Bismarck down. I'll have it burn a fuel for an extra move. So we'll bring it down 1, 2, 3. And the Prinz Eugen will move 1, 2, 3. The U-boat will move... We'll have it burn a fuel as well to bring it up here. Mark off turn 2. We're blasting through air attacks and ship combat just because we haven't had those happen yet. Anyway, we just marked off round 2. Let's see if round 3 is any better. Alright, round 3 coming up. Hopefully we get an event that won't get the U-boat sunk on us. 5 and a 1, so we're actually looking at a different event. Alright, 5 and a 1 means we get to look at Victorious' Swordfish Plains. Looks like it's whoever... Alright, so during the air attack phase, we'll roll 2 attack dice for British carriers. Apply hits on 1 to 3 to ships of the player's choice. Don't roll for the Ark Royal if it's been sunk. So zooming down, we're in, let's see, the Bismarck is in C5, the Prinz Eugen is in C6. Neither one of them is getting hit, but tipping down, we see that the U-boat is in D4, which means I think it does get attacked on the air attack, correct? Let me look at that. Yeah, it looks like no, the U-boat actually is not affected by air attack. So that's actually a nothing happening event, which means we get to move again. So we'll have the U-boat spend... We'll actually have the U-boat move over here. We'll bring the Bismarck down for... Actually bring the Bismarck left for 2. And then the Prinz Eugen will move 1, 2, 3 into D5. So now with that, we'll move in, we'll mark the turn off, and we'll go into turn 4. We are not off to a good start here. The only action of note we've had is our U-boat's almost been sunk already. So let's see what happens with the event this time. 5 and 5 this time. Oh joy. Alright, so 5 and 5 means we're looking at this event. This time we actually have something to do. So if we're in range, if we're in 1, we're looking at the Hood and the Prince of Wales, so we have those 2 targets. 2 would be the King George V and the Rodney. 3 would be the Renown. 4 would be the Ramil and the Repulse. Tipping back down, we see that the Bismarck is in C4. C4 and D5, which means they're actually targeting... Which means the Bismarck will be going after the Hood. I believe that's how that works. And the Prinz Eugen will be after the Prince of Wales. I believe you match firepower to firepower when you encounter both German ships. And then actually the U-boat does, I think, get to attack in D4. Oh yeah, the U-boat actually looks like it gets to attack as well. So we don't have any air attacks. We'll resolve the U-boat attack on the... We get to choose what ship we target with that, I believe. Yes. The U-boat will attack the Hood, I guess. I'm taking a risk here because I know one more hit's going to get the U-boat sunk from under us. Actually, we'll tip back down slightly. Yeah, U-boat go bye-bye. So we got the U-boat sunk out from under us, which means we will be eating that -1 victory point when this is all said and done. So for ship combat, where is that? Ah, here we go. Alright, so each firing ship, so when the Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen. Okay, so strongest firepower, okay. So actually I think we're going to have the Bismarck and the Prinz, looks like we get to target their ships, they target the strongest. They target the strongest first, and then the next strongest. So we'll actually concentrate on the Hood, which means the Bismarck will get to roll 3 dice. Hits on a, I believe it's a 1 to 3. Let me just double check that. Any attack rolls hit on a 1 to 3. Alright, so the Bismarck will get 3 dice. There we are, and we want to see low rolls. Move the dice, actually we'll move the dice tower down. So of course we get one hit on the hood. Then the Prinz Eugen will also fire at the hood with 2 dice. And apparently the gunners on the Prinz Eugen can actually shoot straight because they will put 2 hits on the hood. I'm actually doing the marking. I'll bring it up so you can see what I'm doing. So we'll mark 2 hits off on the hood. And now we have the British ships fire, so the hood will aim at the Bismarck. Rolling 3 dice, as you can see by the firepower there. Actually, no, that's the victory points. The firepower is over here. I really have to admit that I don't really like these book games. I'm starting to sour on them as content, but we're going to stick with this one. So again, hit on a 1 to 3. Hood aiming at the Bismarck, so the hood will get 1 hit on the Bismarck. And I want these 6s, so I can have the Prince of Wales roll against the Prinz Eugen. And of course, the gunners on the Prince of Wales can actually shoot straight. So now we have to make a decision if we want to stay for another round of ship combat, and I think we will... I think we'll stick around. So now the British total current strength evade... So the British ships in the group exceed the current German ship group total. So we total that up. The hood... The hood has 3 strength remaining, and the Prince of Wales has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strength remaining. To the German ships having 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So they will be trying to evade. And the way they evade, they try to evade after the first round. On a roll of 1 to 3, they all evade, even the convoys. On a 4 to 6, they stay for another round of combat. So we'll roll one of these dice, and we want to see a 4 to 6 here. That's a 4, so that means they're stuck for another round of combat, which means we'll concentrate so we get to fire again. So we get another round of ship combat. Once again, the Bismarck will concentrate on the hood. So the Bismarck will fire all 3 of its dice at the hood. And they will actually put the hood in the drink. That is very impressive by the Bismarck. And our objective, I forgot to mention this, is to earn 3 or more victory points and return the Bismarck to Bergen or Brest after turn 16. Return the Prinz Eugen to port also after turn 16 to earn a medal. And then speaking of the Prinz Eugen, it will fire 2 dice at the Prince of Wales now. The Prince of Wales now takes a hit as well. And then the Prince of Wales will fire at the Bismarck. So 2 dice at the Bismarck. Thankfully, the Prince of Wales now cannot shoot straight. So once again, we get the decision. I think we are definitely going to stay for another round of combat, see if we can put some hits on the Prince of Wales. So the Prince of Wales has to try to evade, because our ship strength is still at 14 to theirs of 7. So they'll roll a die for this. And once again, on a 1 to 3, they escape. On a 4 to 6, they stay. That's a 3, so the Prince of Wales will escape. Okay, so now we mark off movement. The U-boat is now sunk, so now we don't need to worry about the U-boat. In fact, I'll make a note here. Sunk. Where do we want the Bismarck? Actually, where do we want both of these ships? I want to try to get them out of... Let's actually move the Bismarck over here to C3. We'll send the Prinz Eugen over to D4 where the U-boat went down. So we'll do that, then we'll mark the turn, and we'll move up to round 5. Next roll for the event for turn 5 is Snake Eyes, so 1 and 1. Which would be Force H from Gibraltar. But since we are way to the north of that, that won't affect us. It would be an air attack event. Roll 2 air attack dice for the Ark Royal. Apply hits on 1 to 3 to the ships of the player's choice. Do not roll if the Ark Royal is sunk, and it is very much not sunk. So we do ignore the event, though, because we're not anywhere near that. Which means we'll just blow through air attacks, U-boat attacks, and ship combat. So I will move the... I think we'll move the Bismarck down here to D3. And the Prinz Eugen can move over here to E3. That should still let us do some attacking, I think. Yes, it looks like we still would be able to do a decent amount of attacking. But that will do it for round... I think that was round 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, that was round 5 that we just did. Round 6 coming up, and hopefully... Actually, we'll tip down just a touch so you can see where we're at. The Bismarck's down here in D3. Prinz Eugen is down here in E3. So, let's tip up to round 6. Alright, round 6, let's see what the event it happens to be. Two and 3. Ooh, I think we have some options here. So, direct hit on the ship's guns in range 1. We'd roll a die on a 4 to 6. Reduce firepower by 1 to a ship of the choice. Cannot be reduced below 1. But I think we get the Ark Royal. Looks like from C3 to F5, which the Bismarck and the Prinz Eugen are both in. So if the U-boat is in the zone, which it's not, we'd have to roll a die. But without the U-boat there, we still get to do some ship combat. So we'll tip the camera down, bring the dice tower. If U-boat is in the same zone, do we have... I don't think we have a... Looks like we don't have any health for the Ark Royal, which is actually kind of weird. Mark is sunk on the chart. So I wonder how how that handles the Ark Royal if the U-boat's sunk. Do you just ignore it, or... I have a feeling that we would ignore the Ark Royal because I don't see any health for it on here. Yeah, I don't see any health notes on here, so I think we do just ignore the Ark Royal, but that's a nothing happening, so that's a nothing happening event. So I think with that in mind, we'll bring the Bismarck down here to E3, and we'll send the Prinz Eugen to E2. We'll mark off turn 6, and that'll move us back up to the event chart for turn 7. Let's see what turn 7 yields for an event for the turn. Six and 5. Oh joy. Actually, it looks like we get away with one because that is British bombers, which we are very much outside of the range of, with the Bismarck in E3 and the Prince Eugen in E2, which neither one of those is affected. During the air attack phase, we'd roll a die to search. On a 1 to 3, find the ships and the U-boat. If found, roll 1 die per ship and U-boat found, hit on a 1 to 4, but none of that happens. So moving back down to the board, well, I say board, but I mean the grid. I think we'll actually just kind of leave everything as is. We'll sit tight. Because this is actually a pretty good... This looks like a pretty good spot to do some ship hunting. We'll be able to attack most anything that comes up. So that was turn 7. Let's go back up to the event chart for turn 8. This is another slow turn, admittedly, but I think I'm finding some of these slow turns a little bit easier to swallow than I was in On to Moscow. I'll talk about that more in my after-action report, but let's get into round 8. Let's see, 2 and 6. Which gives us a lone warship. So we're in... Prince Eugen is in E2, the Bismarck is in E3, which gives us access to the Rodney. So tipping down, we see that the Rodney has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strength, which means we get to do some more ship combat. So the Bismarck will fire first with 3. So the German ships will fire first, the Bismarck first with 3 dice. Once again, we'll bring the dice tower down into shot. I'll see if I can zoom out just a touch. There we go. So we will hit once again on a 1 to 3, so we want low rolls. Wow. Now that the Bismarck's gunners are starting to learn how to shoot straight, we'll put 3 hits on the Rodney. And then the Prince Eugen will fire 2 dice at the Rodney as well. Two more hits on the Rodney. That will work very nicely for us. And then the Rodney will fire 3 dice at the Bismarck. The Rodney will get 2 hits on the Bismarck. And then when it comes to a ship decision, the Rodney wants out, we want more. So we're going to stay put. The Rodney is going to try to evade. On a 1 to 3, they get away. On a 4 to 6, they're stuck for another round. That's a 3, so the Rodney just barely gets away. Again, we blew through air attacks and U-boat attacks. I think once again we're going to stay put, because if the Rodney pops up again, we can proudly sink it. That'll be the end of turn 8, so we're into turn 9 next, and that'll bring us back up to the event chart. Round 9's event. Is 6 and 2. Looking at it being seaworthy, I think we are unaffected by the E3, E2. Yes, we are unaffected by everything, so we'll blow through the entire turn. So we have no event to worry about, no air attacks, no U-boats, no ship combat, and I think we're just going to stay put. Because I want to be here in case the Rodney comes back. I definitely will want to have an eye toward, once we sink that, maybe moving in the direction of another ship or two before we try to head back to port, but I've marked off turn 9, so we're into turn 10. Turn 10 up next, and let's see what we're doing here. One and 6. That's a white 1, colored 6, gives us a wing and a prayer, which I'm pretty sure we are away from once again. No, actually, we are not. Looks like E3, I believe that affects... Yep, E3 is going to affect the Bismarck. So roll a die on a 4 to 6, reduce speed by 1 to a ship of choice for the game, and I can't reduce it below 1. But if we were over here toward the east, we'd roll a die on a 1 to 3, sink a pursuing cruiser, and get +1 victory point. So we have to roll for the Bismarck. On a 4 to 6, we reduce the speed by 1 of the Bismarck. That's a 6, so we do reduce the speed of the Bismarck by 1. Which means now we'd have to burn extra fuel to make moves of 2. I think once again we'll leave I think as we tip down to the grid, we'll leave everything as is. Mark the turn, and then we'll move up to turn 11. Let's see what turn 11's event yields. Five and 6. That's a white 5, colored 6, battleship sighted. So we're in E2 and E3, which looks like it gives me the Hood and the Prince of Wales back. Once again, we'll blow through air attacks, no U-boat attacks because the U-boat got sunk. So now we'll start trying to deal with the Prince of Wales. Bismarck is up first, firing 3 dice. Two hits on the Prince of Wales. And then 2 dice from Prince Eugen at the Prince of Wales. That's another hit on the Prince of Wales. And then the Prince of Wales will be aiming 2 dice at the Bismarck. No hits there. We are out for blood on the Prince of Wales, so we are definitely staying around. The Prince of Wales is going to try to nope out. And once again, we want a 4 to 6 here. So that's a 2, which means the Prince of Wales gets away from us. That's unfortunate. I think we'll sit tight, though, because that'll give us some more ship options. We'll mark off turn 11. If I can take out both the Prince of Wales and the Rodney, I can probably head back to port happy with that. So let's move into turn 12 and see what we're doing for an event. Turn 12, let's see what we've got going on here. Let's see, that's a 5 and a 6, which once again, as we saw earlier, actually, yeah, that's event bombers, so we don't have anything happening there, which means we can pretty much blow through this turn as well, as boring as it's going to be. I think we'll sit tight here because we've got a couple of options where we can attack, so we'll just mark off turn 12. And in one of the shortest turns that we will have, we'll move right into turn 13. Turn 13, hopefully we can get one of these ships sunk and start working our way back to port. White 1 and a 3 is a force from Gibraltar, but we're once again... I'll bring it up so you can see. Well, it would be an air attack event, but we are still very much too far north for that to do anything, so we'll blow through everything else. We'll just mark the turn, and then that'll move us into turn 14, and we're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Round 14's event, and let's see what we're doing. White 2 and a black 2. Which I believe puts us in Ark Royal targeting once again, but we don't get to do anything there because without a U-boat in the area and without ship health, we ignore the Ark Royal. So we'll just mark off the turn, and we'll go into turn 15. I may need to start making my way home anyway, even though I don't... Am I even going to have enough time to get at least to get the Bismarck home? Probably not at the rate things are going. I think we've stayed out a little too long from the looks of it, but we'll see. Let's see, white 5, black 6, or colored 6. That gives us E2 and E3. Looks like that gives us the Prince of Wales once again. Alright, so we'll blow through air attacks and U-boat attacks to get right to ship combat. Bismarck's firing 3 dice at the Prince of Wales. Bad time to forget how to shoot straight, boys. There's a hit there. And the Prince Eugen will fire 2 dice at the... We'll fire 2 dice at the Prince of Wales. One die hits the Prince of Wales. And then the Prince of Wales will fire at the Bismarck. No hits there. We want more. The Prince of Wales will try to leave. Once again, on a 1 to 3, they get away. A 6 means they're stuck for another round. So the Bismarck will fire 3 dice at the Prince of Wales. There's better shooting, which means we actually sink the Prince of Wales. That's another 4 victory points. Now we need to start trying to get home, but let's see, we're there. We're going to need to move 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I don't think we're going to... Well, I think we'll just barely make it. So the Bismarck... Actually, no, we're not. We don't have enough fuel to get there. So the Bismarck will move 2, but they'll have to spend a fuel to do it. And the Prince Eugen will start moving toward port. So the Prince Eugen will move back here, spending a fuel as well. Alright, then we'll mark off turn 15, and we're moving into turn 16. We probably sat out there too long, but we'll find out. Our event here is a white 3, colored 6. Or white 6, colored 3. I apparently can't tell my colors apart. So the Bismarck is in E4, the Prince Eugen is in E3. Alright, the Bismarck is in E4, which means we get to repair 1 hit per ship. Which I believe is just these. I can't use it to repair speed, can I? I don't think so. And the event specified... Yeah. This is why I wanted to use pencil. This is why I prefer using pencil on this game to begin with. So as we'll tip down, but we'll see that the hits on the Bismarck are now gone, and that's a horrendous job of... Oh, repair 1 hit per ship, so we only get to repair 1 hit. And the Bismarck will move 2, burning another tank of fuel. And 1, 2, 3 for the Prinz Eugen, which will also burn its last fuel, but it's got more fuel than the Bismarck does, so we're probably going to get... So at the very least, we should get the Prinz Eugen home. I don't know if we'll get the Bismarck home, though, because we're on 16. We'll burn our last fuel for 17, 18, 19, 20. Nope. We're not going to make it home. Because I sat out here. I sat out here for too long. But let's go into turn 17 and see what happens anyway. Alright, turn 17. Like I said, we stayed out for too long. But our event is 5 and 5, which is another battle, which looks like it's going to be another battleship sighted. We are both in E5, so... E5 actually gives us access to the Renown now. Which is a new target for us with 6 hits. So we'll go ahead and take a shot at it. We'll go ahead and shoot at it anyway. So the Bismarck will fire 3 dice at the Renown. One hit will hit the Renown. Then the Prinz Eugen will fire 2 at it. The Prinz Eugen will hit it twice. Then the Renown will fire at the Bismarck. One hit on the Bismarck, which means that hit comes back. We're going to try to stay... The Renown wants out, because it's already got its strength cut in half. Alright, so the Renown gets away. That's unfortunate. And the Bismarck will move here. That's its last extra fuel. And the Prinz Eugen will move 1, 2, 3. We can get it into port, but we're not going to get the Bismarck in. Anyway, that's turn 17, so let's move into turn 18. Three turns left, so let's see what happens here. Alright, 4s all around, so that would be a heavy cruiser attack, but we're just... Let's see, we're in E6 and G5, which we will not get touched by that, so we'll blow through everything. Bismarck will move here. The Prinz Eugen's also out of extra fuel, so it'll move 1, 2. Mark off turn 18, and we'll move into turn 19. At this point, I'm hoping to sink one more battleship, but we'll find out what we do here in these last 2 turns. All right, white 2, colored 6. Which is a lone warship. And I think for the Bismarck, E6... Actually, E6 and they're in G6. So the Bismarck is going to get to fire at the King George V. Right off the coast of Britain. This should be a firefight. So the Bismarck will get 3 dice first. That's That's good for 1 hit on the King George V. And then the King George V fires back with its 3 dice. For 1 hit as well. Up. 1 hit on the Bismarck. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have to decide if we want to evade or stay around for another round of combat. They're staying since the current strength is greater. I think we'll stay as well. I mostly want to try to get more victory points at this point. So we'll stay for another round of combat, as will they since their strength is higher. Except our guys have not learned how to shoot straight in the least. Let's see if the King George V is any better. Yeah, they're much better. So I think with that in mind, we're going to try to escape. So the German evade or remain decision. On a roll of 1 to 2, we escape. 3 to 4, we escape, but take a hit. On a 5 to 6, we don't escape, take a hit, and remain in battle. So we know the King George V is staying. The question is, are we? Not only do we take a hit, but we have to stay. Which this could be very bad. So we're staying for another round of combat. Which is 2 hits, but we're in a dangerous situation here. Because if the gunners on the King George V are worth a damn, then we're going to end up in the drink. Their gunners, thankfully, are not very good, but hopefully we're not going to take a hit trying to evade here. Because they're definitely staying. As are we, but not by choice. That is a problem. Well, as a consolation prize, we do deal 2 more hits. So it looks like we're going to take the King George V with us. And it looks like the story is very much playing out in a similar way that the real-life story did. Now, does the game just end when the Bismarck is sunk? Or... I don't know how that works, actually. I don't know if the game just ends. But yeah, somehow the Bismarck is not sunk. It probably will be in about 2 seconds, though, once I roll for the evasion. No, actually, we get away from that battle. Excuse me. I need to take a drink after this. But we'll move the Bismarck down into F6. The Prinz Eugen, we're going to leave right there. Actually, we're going to move the Prinz Eugen. If we move it here, we won't be able to get into Brest. So I'll actually move the Prinz Eugen. Wait a minute. G6 in the event was... Okay, lone warship. Never mind. So yeah, we wouldn't have been able to help anyway. I think we have to move the Prinz Eugen here. That way I make sure it can still at least get into Brest next turn. But we mark off turn 19, and this is it for turn 20. Alright, turn 20, let's see what the event is. Alright, white 6 and a 1. And a colored 1. So, seaworthy. I think the Bismarck F6... Yep, they're both in range, so we'll repair 1 hit on each ship. Not that it'll matter. So the Bismarck gets one hit taken off, as does the Prinz Eugen. The Prinz Eugen will get into port. The Bismarck will not quite making it in range of Nazi-occupied France. It would probably get run down anyway, so that is the end of turn 20. That's the end of the game. So our victory point total ended up being 6 victory points because we lost the... So as we look here, we see each ship had a victory point total. We got the Prince of Wales for 4 points and the Hood for 3, but as we tab over to our ships, we lost the U-boat and nearly lost the Bismarck. So we end up with a total of 6 victory points coming out of that. We do get the medal since we managed to return the... Since we managed to return the Prinz Eugen to port, we do get the medal for that, but we didn't get the Bismarck in. At least it came within enough range of Nazi-occupied France that it probably would have been able to get towed to port with a fuel refresh. But let's move back up top for the after-action report. If I would have been a square closer to Europe when I started making the turn, I probably would have still been able to sink the... it was the Rodney I was after toward the end there. If I was a square closer, I still would have been able to attack it, and probably I would have made it into Brest at the end of the game. But I did enjoy this playthrough of Bismarck Solitaire, and I think some of the problems I had with On to Moscow, where an event just potentially swallows a turn, I think I found it a little easier to swallow here than it did in On to Moscow. Mostly just because the ocean is so much of a bigger place than being on land is. It just, I don't know, thematically it felt like it was a bit easier to swallow like I said, the potential for lost turns you had in an event just wiping out your plans. I almost think these book games might be a little bit too simplistic in the name of chance. They're decent for travel experiences if you don't know the spaces that you're going to. Now, the place I usually travel to, I generally know the areas that I have to work with. Areas I have to work with there. So I can probably get away with bringing something a little bit bigger, but this and On to Moscow were good for what they were, which was basically just like an intro to wargaming and a quick travel game. But otherwise, they're probably not... I don't see these hitting the channel again, because I really don't like these two as content, if that makes sense. The book... I can see how the book is kind of hard to see. I'm even looking at it through the camera, where the pen, I think, made everything pop a little bit better, but I don't think better enough that I'm going to want to get these book games on the channel again. But that will do it for this playthrough of Bismarck Solitaire. As I mentioned, I'm kind of souring on these book games, but they're a good travel experience. With Memorial Day coming up, it's looking like we're going to have a busy weekend on the channel, so stay tuned. I'm expecting a few more videos to go up than usual. Tomorrow I'm expecting a product unboxing, so keep an eye out for that. As for what else is scheduled, Sunday we're playing Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, and next week we're going to play Aeon's End. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.